Coming up on Cogeco News this Monday, no sailing this year for the Chief Commander 2. An update on an armed robbery. And yes, trades in the OHL, one involving the battalion. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to this Monday edition of Cogeco News. I am Greg Esterbrooks. Another COVID-19 casualty announced on Monday, as the Chief Commander 2 will not be heading out onto Lake Nipissing this summer. There have been talk of a late July startup, not happening. Our Clark Heipel is at Callender's Wharf for this update, which will go down in history.
Yes, Greg, every single year since 1975, the Chief Commander 2 has taken to the waters of Lake Nipissing during the spring, summer, and fall months to offer very unique perspectives of the lake, including beautiful Callender Bay. However, this year, for the first time in its history, the Chief will not sail the waters of Lake Nipissing. This, of course, due to the coronavirus pandemic. The staff of the Chief 2 released a statement on this Monday, June the 1st. Through a media release, they stated, quote, "The management of crew of the Chief Commander 2 today announces with deep regret that our 2020 sailing season is canceled. We're looking forward to hitting the water in May of 2021. Based on Transport Canada's directives that restricts the season to begin after June 30th and COVID-19 operating protocols, it does not appear as though a successful, safe, and enjoyable cruise season can be provided." They do state, though, however, that the Chief Commander 2 dock shop will be open daily, providing takeout scooped ice cream sales, as well as fresh cut fries, poutine, BBQ, and other delicious treats. Captain Rich Stivrins and his professional crew will be on site at the dock shop all summer to greet and serve our customers. Captain Stivrins said, quote, "I am looking forward to our passengers dropping by this season on land, enjoying a snack, and sharing their experiences in this unusual season. We will have the Chief Commander 2 in ship shape for our launch next May of 2021. We have heard this coronavirus pandemic being referred to as unprecedented times, and this is just another chapter to those times, as in 45 years, every single year the Chief has sailed Lake Nipissing, not in 2020. Let's send it back to Greg at the news desk.
Sad times indeed. We'll hear from the chief of the docked Chief Commander on Tuesday. Meanwhile, the Ontario government is meeting several times daily, trying to piece back the province and the economy and try to stay ahead of the COVID-19 curve, so to speak, as best as they can. Nipissing MPP Vic Fedeli is part of the inner circle. Of course, he's in caucus. And Fedeli talked about the multiple daily conferences that are a must.
I'm on the Zoom teleconference. My first one is 7:30 every morning. My last one begins at 5 o'clock every night. And during the day, they are filled. Because I'm the trade minister as well, I'm also dealing around the world. I keep 3 phones on at the same time, a hardened laptop with very secure data, and my desktop for the Zoom calls. And you're right, it changes. In the middle of a Zoom call, something will change. There's no question. We continue to learn. A couple of issues that have come up, I think, that are repetitive are, in order to properly reopen the stores and the economy, we need to have daycare open, and in Southern Ontario they need to know that the transit system is going to be safe and healthy for them. Those are the ones that reoccur. Here in Northern Ontario, it is primarily, we need to know that there's daycare in order for me to get back to my shop.
Of course, Fedeli's other shop is being the Minister of Economic Development and Trade. Not a lot of that going on during a pandemic. But he says things will be changing, and when those things do change, it's going to be critical for Ontario's economic rebirth.
So the first stage is interprovincial trade. There's about $40 billion on the table that we leave every year because we don't have good trade agreements right across our own country. You can't drive a truck from one coast to the other easily, as you would think. There are different tire pressures in every province. There's different first aid kit requirements in every province. This is ridiculous. So in order to have free trade, we need to standardize and harmonize a lot of our regulations right across the provinces. So I spend a lot of time on trade amongst our other, my counterparts across the country. The next trade is the US, and that's our largest trading partner. The fact that auto manufacturing reopened last Tuesday has kick-started our trade with the US again. On June 21st, when the border between the States and Canada is scheduled to open, we'll reignite our discussions with Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, Maryland. We were doing these sub-national deals, and we do trade around the world, all virtually now. So my ministry, instead of going to trade shows, we're doing electronic trade shows. We had our first one with a couple hundred companies in India recently, and we'll be doing a lot more of that. For a while, it will be the new norm internationally. There's no question. I mean, the flights within Canada are limited. The flights to the States are almost non-existent. The flights overseas are virtually non-existent. So it will all come in phases, but we've moved our budget from travel to trade shows into virtual trade shows.
COVID numbers from the North Bay Parry Sound District Health Unit on June 1st. Yes, we're into June. 27 cases, 26 resolved. 3 were in self-isolation. Now no one's in self-isolation. And of course, we've had one tragic fatality due to COVID-19. North Bay Police have once again submitted a video in connection with an ongoing armed robbery investigation. Police released video footage of the suspect of the robbery that occurred at 8:30 at night on Wednesday night, May 13th. The robbery took place in the 2400 block of Trout Lake Road, where the suspect used a handgun, robbing the victim of several bank cards and prescription medication. The victim was not physically harmed. North Bay Police advised they have received several calls from members of the public supplying information on this ongoing investigation. However, the police have not identified the suspect so far. The lead investigator advises the release of this video should provide enough information for someone to identify the responsible person and resolve this investigation. So, if you know the identity of this person, you should contact Detective Constable Jackson by calling the North Bay Police Service at 705-497-5555 and select option 9 to speak to a police officer. Back to COVID-19, sort of. People can get their hair cut. No, they can't. No, right now they can't, unless they do it at home or get a friend to do it, I guess, or someone that is in their immediate circle. Animal haircuts, okay. Pet groomers are back open and running and very busy, at least the one we visited last week. According to Vic Fedeli, the MPP, it was a big concern heard at his office during the shutdown.
One of the number one issues was, when can I get my dog into the groomer? So pet grooming is allowed as of Tuesday morning.
Those the words of Nipissing MP and Provincial Economic Development and Trade Minister Vic Fedeli a couple of weeks back. And yes, indeed, business is booming at the Touch Rehab Center, where Roxanne Charbonneau has set up shop, and she's going to be very, very busy after a long layoff. But Charbonneau admits she was a little reticent about going back to work in the middle of the pandemic.
A lot of mixed emotions about it. At first being worried about going back to work and being exposed to it, because they say it can go on to the dog hair. Like if the customer has COVID and then coughs on the dog, and then I'm taking the dog and then I'm touching it, things like that. And then also things about like the dog not being taken care of at home, and people relying solely on us to care for their dogs. So you have to outweigh the risks and the benefits. And the necessity of it is definitely a necessity.
But Charbonneau is back at work and not wearing a mask while she is grooming the pets.
It's getting better every day.
And spending some quality time with so many four-legged friends makes Roxanne a happy camper.
Yeah, making them feel better and making them comfortable. They leave here feeling better than when they came in.
During my time at the grooming shop, 2 different dogs were being taken care of with 2 vastly different care scenarios.
This guy, this is Pepper, and he's 19 years old. He just gets what we call a comfort groom, so we just do whatever he'll tolerate. Basically, we just do his nails and his bum, and we trim out the mats and just try to keep him comfortable as best as we can without stressing him out too much.
Brutus, a much younger dog, was the other pet being groomed while I was there, but he has some issues too, even though he is under 5 years old. But despite that relative youth, Brutus has some leg issues, which makes grooming a little more difficult.
Yeah, it definitely makes it harder, especially when they're not able to stand on their own, because then you have to hold them up while you're grooming them, basically with one hand, kind of holding their body weight up so that they don't fall over, and just kind of helping them through the process a little bit more.
Roxanne booked solid right through early July, anywhere from 5 to 8 groomings a day. Breakdown has arrived here on Cogeco News. When we come back, an old friend up for a big award. Welcome back, and we're going to run a story now that is separate from COVID-19, which is a good thing. We ran a story on Friday about a retired astronaut living in Oakville who's very excited about the big SpaceX launch that was delayed but did take place on Saturday. He's equally excited after seeing the launch. More now from Melissa Candelaria.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff of the Falcon 9 and Crew Dragon. Go NASA, go SpaceX, Godspeed, Spot and Dog.
And there you have it. The Dragon has launched. On Saturday, NASA, in partnership with SpaceX, successfully launched 2 astronauts to the International Space Station. Oakville resident and retired astronaut Dr. David Williams says it was an incredible launch.
I was glued to my seat all day Saturday, just getting ready for the launch, and then, of course, doing live commentary during the launch. An unbelievable historic moment. The weather opened up. The launch was picture perfect. Everything went according to plan. The crew did a phenomenal job, had a ride of a lifetime on a historic first vehicle, opening up the dawn of the new era of space exploration.
And the first step to this new era of space exploration is making sure that, well, everything works. Williams says the main focus of this mission was to demonstrate the capabilities of the Dragon spacecraft.
During launch, rendezvous and docking, they were able to assess the handling characteristics of the vehicle on orbit. They're thrilled, absolutely thrilled with the precision, the performance of the spacecraft. The ride was a lot smoother than on the space shuttle. You didn't get the jostling back and forth that we get on the shuttle with the solid rocket boosters. So far, it's been a really successful mission, demonstrating launch, rendezvous, docking, all taken care of very successfully. And now they'll be remaining on the space station for a period of time. The last portion of the mission to assess the technology is the re-entry of Dragon, the landing of Dragon, and then the recovery of the crew from the vehicle.
Station Houston on the Big Loop. Houston and station are now go for docking.
So what does this mean for the future of space exploration? Williams says it's a critical stepping stone in the path back to the moon.
Those Artemis missions of the future, hopefully around 2024, 2025, and perhaps we'll see a Canadian on one of those missions. Of course, we have Jeremy Hansen next up for a space flight. He hasn't been assigned yet to the best of my knowledge, but we're looking forward to that mission. Then we've got Josh and Ginny ready to go as well. So it's going to be an exciting future for Canada in space, seeing future flights to the space station and potentially a Canadian walking on the surface of the moon.
Now, this mission has a personal connection for Williams. Having gone to the International Space Station himself 12 years ago, Williams says he certainly feels like he's there in spirit.
My heart is with both Bob and Doug and, of course, the space station crew. It's just a phenomenal mission, and there's nothing better for an astronaut than the first test flight of a new spacecraft. The picture behind me is of the space shuttle. The last time I was on the International Space Station, I took that on my second spacewalk. So yeah, I helped build the space station. Now it's exciting seeing the station used for its research purposes to get us ready for missions back to the moon.
On behalf of the SpaceX and NASA partnership, congratulations on a phenomenal accomplishment.
Closer to home, a long overdue rebranding for the beer store. A new sign is up on Main Street West. It's been down for a while, though. This was the scene on Monday morning, just after 10:30. Clark gets off his bike and snaps some little pics of what's going on there. Yes, they had to put the sign back up. It had been blown off, I guess. Industrial signage was there at 1065 Main West to install the main placard high into the sky. This beer store location is accepting returns, but on Mondays and Wednesdays only. Big lineup, so the folks in line with their returns had something a little bit better to watch while waiting for their cash-ins. We're going to head to a break now. Clark is in line. Hope his shots aren't tonight. He's back with another installment of Streets You Didn't Know Existed, along with your 5-day weather forecast right after this.
Weather is brought to you by Canadore College. Great things happen here.
This is the 4th installment of Streets You Didn't Know Existed. Welcome back to Cogeco News on this Monday. I'm Clark Heipel here. I'll tell you where here is in a moment. For your 5-day weather forecast brought to you by Canadore College. Over the past several days, I have been featuring some fairly obscure streets and delivering the weather forecast from those locations to kind of keep the brain chemicals moving and keep people guessing. We've done Bunyan, we have done Tilly, and we have done Cochrane. And our last installment on Friday really stumped a lot of people, including my boss. He guessed Timmins, which was not correct. I delivered the weather forecast from Cochrane Street off Cedar Heights on Friday. Well, today I am on a certain street that is off Pinewood Park Drive. On this street, there is an entrance to the Union Cemetery, as well as an entrance to an industrial business, a trucking company on the other side. And the street name starts with the letter H, and it's about 150 meters long. You can get gas pretty close by, and you can see Highway 11 north and south quite well from where I'm standing. The name of this street is Hewitt. So if you haven't noticed already, earlier in the day, I post some hints on our Cogeco News, Your TV Facebook page, and do a live video from a location without naming the location. So tune in to our Facebook page on Tuesday as well as Wednesday and the rest of the week for more obscure streets that you didn't know existed. So let's take a look at the 5-day forecast as it is June the 1st, and we are delivering this forecast from Hewitt Street. Venturing overnight on this June the 1st, chance of a thunderstorm, low of 12 degrees. On the 2nd of June, Tuesday, showers throughout the day and a risk of a thunderstorm late morning, early afternoon, high 17. The UV index will be at 3 as we'll have cloud cover. Tuesday night, 12 for the low, once again with showers. The middle of the work week, more rain, high 22, low 9. Thursday now the sun returns. It will be a beautiful day on Thursday. High 23 perfect degrees with sun and a low of 12 once again on Thursday night. We continue that trend of 12 being the low, as on Friday we'll have a high of 22 and a low of 12. Chance of showers. Turning the page back to the almanac, Sunday was a mixed bag. We had a high of 11 and a low of 1. The normals for this time of June 2020, 21 and 9 for the high and low being the normals. Well, there you have it. There is your 5-day weather forecast and the 4th installment of Streets You Didn't Know Existed, Hewitt Street. Do stand by as our Greg Esterbrooks will have your sportscast. The Battalion have sent Pacey Schluting to the London Knights. What did they get in return? He'll have your answer for you right after this.
Sports is brought to you by Tag Construction for all your construction needs.
Welcome back, everybody. The void period in between, well, the COVID shutdown of the league and the trade deadline or trading period opened wide today, and the Battalion busy making 2 trades as the window reopened Monday morning, leaving another unsuccessful first-round draft pick and coming an import forward from the London Knights.
Dunkley leaves it there for Guskov and across the line. Guskov shooting! He scores! A highlight reel goal!
Yes, indeed, a highlight reel goal for new Battalion forward Matvei Guskov. Guskov, highlights here from his rookie year, scored 30 points in year 1 for London, 30 points for London in year 2. Of course, that was shortened a bit by the COVID situation, which ended the season a little bit early for all the teams, and of course no playoffs. London, very, very deep, obviously, in all facets up front and on defense. Traded him to the battalion for a couple of draft choices. He's already been drafted by the National Hockey League, a 5th-round pick of Minnesota in 2019. Battalion needing scoring up front, and this kid will provide some. He'll also get a lot more ice time in North Bay and some special teams time as well, because London, well, frankly, is a very, very deep team. This is the second trade in the last few months made between the Knights, Adam Dennis's old team, and the Battalion, Adam Dennis's new team as a GM, getting a couple of good players in Guskov and before that, Avery Winslow. And what seems to be a North Bay tradition, another former number 1 draft pick shipped out of town to Saginaw for a couple of draft picks, including a 4th, is 2018 first rounder, 9th overall, Pacey Schluting, who never really developed in North Bay on defense, but nevertheless, he is another first round pick moved out of town as he goes to Saginaw. And getting out of his hometown may be a good thing for Pacey Schluting. Less pressure on, say, foreign turf is probably one way of saying it. The Battalion get a 4th rounder and another low pick for Schluting. The club will be answering questions on these moves and maybe some others during a Zoom press conference Tuesday morning at 10:30 a.m. and Clark Heupel will be on the call asking questions for us. One final note before we go on this Monday. We do it each and every Monday. We salute those people that are on the front lines every day trying to keep us safe and healthy. And on this day, we salute some respiratory therapists. And we thank them all wherever they are located, of course, most at the North Bay Regional Health Center. That is it for news, weather, and sports for this Monday. Thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Clark Heupel will be sitting in the big chair on Tuesday. We hope to see you then live at 5.